how y'all doing? Well, I reckon I'm gonna tell you all my deep story. Well, I can tell you this. My slavery days weren't like what most people tell you about, 'cause I was given to my young mistress, and I was sent away to Texas, when I was just a little girl. And I didn't live on a big plantation for a very long time. I got an old family Bible that says I was born on September 20th, in 1846, but I don't know who put the writing in it. Unless it was my mammy's mistress. My mammy had the book when she died. My mammy come out to the Indian country from Mississippi 2 years before I was born. She was the slave of a Chickasaw part breed named Sobe Love. He was the kinsfolks of Mr. Benjamin Love and Mr. Henry Love, who brought 2 big bunches of the Chickasaws out from Mississippi to the Choctaw country, when the Chickasaws signed up the treaty to leave Mississippi, and the whole Love family settled round on the Red River, below Fort Washita. That's where I was born. My mammy said that they had a terribly hard time against the sickness, when they first come out into the country, because it was low, and swampy, and all full of cane brakes, and everybody had the smallpox, and malaria, and fever, all the time. Lots of the Chickasaw families nearly died off. Old Sobe Love married my mammy off to a slave named William, that belonged to a full-blood Chickasaw man named Chickasaw-Love, and I was one of the children. The children belonged to the owner of the mother, and me and my brother Franklin, who we called Bruno, was born under the name of Love, and then, old Master Sobe bought my pappy William, and we were all Love slaves then. My mammy had 2 more girls, named Hattie and Rena. My mammy's name was Mary, and I was named after her. Old mistress's name was Lottie, and they had a daughter named Mary. Old Master Sobe was powerfully rich, and he had about 100 slaves, and 4 or 5 big pieces of that bottom land broke out for farms. He had Negroes at all the places, but didn't have any overseers, just himself, and he went around and saw that everybody behaved and do their work right. Old Master Sobe was a mighty big man in the tribe, and so were all his kinfolks, and they went to Fort Washita and to Boggy Depot all the time on business, and left the Negroes to look after old mistress and the young daughter. She was almost grown up about that time, when I can first remember about things. 'Cause my name was Mary, and so was my mammy's, and my young mistress too. Old Master Sobe called me Mary Kochab, to show which Mary he was talking about. Miss Mary had a black woman named Vici, that waited on her all the time, and did the cording and spinning and cooking around the house, and Vici belongs to Miss Mary. I never did go round the big house, but just stayed in the quarters with my mammy and pappy, and helped in the field a little. Then one day, Miss Mary ran off with a man, and married him, and old Master Sobe nearly went crazy. The man was named Bill Merrick, and he was a poor blacksmith, and didn't have 2 pair of breeches to his name, and old Master Sobe said he just stole Miss Mary, 'cause she was rich, and for no other reason. 'Cause he was a white man and she was mostly Chickasaw Indian. Anyways, old Master Sobe wouldn't even speak to Mr. Bill, and wouldn't let him set foot on the place. He just reared, and pitched around, and threatened to shoot him if he set eyes on him. And Mr. Bill took Miss Mary, and left out for Texas. He set up a blacksmith shop on the big road between Bonham and Honey Grove, and lived there until he died. Miss Mary Dunn took Vici along with her, and pretty soon she come back home, and stayed a while, and old Master Sobe kind of softened up a little bit, and give her some money to get started on, and he give me to her. That just nearly broke my old mammy's and pappy's hearts, to have me taken away from them, but they couldn't say nothing, and I had to go along with Miss Mary, back to Texas. When we got away from the big house, I just cried and cried, until I could hardly see, my eyes were so swollen up, but Miss Mary said she was going to be good to me. I asked her how come Master Sobe didn't give her some of the grown boys, and she said, she reckoned it's because he didn't want to help her husband out none, but just wanted to help her. If he gave her a man, her husband would have him working in the blacksmith shop, she reckoned. Master Bill Merrick was a hard worker, and he was more sober than most the men in them days, and he never told me to do anything. He just let Miss Mary tell me what to do. They have a log house, close to the shop, and a little patch of a field at first, but after a while, he got more land, and then Miss Mary told me and Vichy, we got to help in the field too. That show was hard living then. I have to get up at 3 o'clock sometimes, so I have time to water the horses, and slop the hogs, and feed the chickens, and milk the cows, and then get back to the house, and get the breakfast. That was during the times when Miss Mary was having, and nursing her 2 children, and old Vichy had to stay with her all the time. Master Bill never did do none of that kind of work, but he had to be in the shop sometimes, until way late in the night, and sometimes before daylight, to show people horses, and oxen, and fix wagons. He never did tell me to do that work, but he never done it his own self, and I had to do it, if anybody do it. He was the slowest, white man I ever did see. He just moved around like the dead. Lice, falling off of him all the time, and every time he go to say anything. He talks so slow, that when he say one word, you could walk from here, to way over there, before he say the next word. He don't look sick. And he was powerfully strong in his arms, but he act like he don't feel good, just the same.
Mary Lindsay, born Love, lived to be 104 years old, and she was living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, during the time of the race riots that took place, in 1921. The Black Ancestry Network group has placed Mary Lindsay, on the list, for a family ancestry tree recording, or, FAT recording. So, subscribe to this channel, and turn on your notifications, if you would like to be notified when her FAT recording is uploaded. I want to thank you for watching the slave narrative of Mary Lindsay. There are more slave narratives like this one, in the works. Please, like, and share, to help the channel. I can't wait to see you, for our next slave narrative. Until then, this slave narrative will end in 3, 2, 1.